Hey everybody, Case All Media's review of Black Panther. This is Chris,
And
as
this
usual.
is Ian.
This guy still, you can't give me some room. Give just a little bit.
No.
I know you're the one that usually does it, but come on. I'm a big guy. I need some space. Okay. All right. We're going to spoil the shit out of Black Panther now. We just did the non-spoiler review. You can find that on our page. And you probably have to find it through the page too, because you usually can't find our videos anywhere else. So they're not hitting the recommended lists yet. So help us out with that. Help us out with some views and some subscriptions. That'd be great. Okay. Black Panther. We're going to spoil the shit out of it. What should we start with? Let's start with the biggest one. Claw.
Yeah. Claw's
Now,
dead.
You don't even, the MCU doesn't bring a lot of murders to begin with unless they're like nameless, extras that just so happen to like be around when someone's doing their superpowers that, where hundreds of people die. But Claw very unceremoniously shot to death.
Yeah.
It was, for an MCU movie, it was fairly brutal, and it was surprising.
It was. Something that was definitely sudden. I was thinking, especially with how set T'Challa and everyone was on capturing this guy, that you'd, eventually see him pulled into the Wakandan court or something like that, or, he's jailed or whatever else. No. Mowed down.
And as much as I, in the non-spoiler, I talk about how I appreciate the character and how Andy Serkis has taken what was at this point almost a comical supervillain in the MCU. He's been around for so long and he looks so ridiculous, and how they've turned him into this character. Then boom, all right, well that's it for Claw. All right, but still the time we've had with him has been great.
Yeah.
Very, very cool villain. I thought they did a very good job with him. But yeah, at the end, he's just dead. And about halfway through the movie, not even at the end.
I know. If anything, his death was the thing that really seemed to just precipitate the oncoming of the actual villain.
And so let me say in that too, since we're in spoilers, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. I mean, you get a villain like Killmonger that, and I felt like they walked the line on this in this movie, where this could come off so bad and so cheesy.
Yep.
But they spend so much of this movie just like, yeah, this guy is, he's that real, he's that badass, and that is one of many examples in this movie that really just build up the villain. In fact, you could say that a lot of this movie was tearing down Black Panther and what we saw, and he's the king, and he's royalty, and he comes from this great magical technological land,
right.
And it was very much about, but he's worried about this, and there's problems in the family and all this stuff. But then while at the same time they're building up Killmonger, it was a great back and forth.
No, for sure. In the same hand, you get to see, I think, how that conflict is playing out with T'Challa, as opposed to someone who really has, frankly, a clear mind for what he believes is right, what he believes should happen, and what he believes Wakanda needs to do in the course of history, and to correct it. You couldn't ask for more contrasting viewpoints, and I love this. Someone who comes from a background of being, oppressed in various ways and, pushed down, and sees the chance to be able to strike back against not only all those things that wronged him, but across the world. No, go ahead.
Oh, all right. Okay. So yeah, let me comment on that. Like I said in the non-spoiler review, they do a really good job with Killmonger in actually making you sympathetic to his perspective and what he's been through, and his feelings to have a right to the throne. I think they almost did too good of a job on this, because I'm around the middle of the movie or so, after he gets the throne, or leading up to that, it's like, well, this guy's got a really good point, and while I don't really agree with a lot of his perspectives on and what he plans to do with all this newfound power that he has,
right,
you can really understand where he's coming from. And one of the complaints I have, and I couldn't talk about this in the non-spoiler section, is at the point after they give him the powers of the Black Panther, where he just grabs that woman by the throat and picks her up and that felt very obligatory. Okay, we have to make him feel like a bad guy more
Right.
so than we have at this point. Like we know he's a badass, but it almost felt like we have to throw this in, otherwise we're blurring the lines too much.
Right. Right.
I felt it was a little cheap.
And he never, I guess, besides maybe that moment. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's really any, just overt, just villain things he did. I mean, you can see the decision making behind everything, even the choice to release Wakanda's weapons upon the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you're looking at a couple examples. I mean, it's a villain thing that he does at the beginning, where he does whatever he did he poisons the lady's drink at the historical museum that they're at, or whatever that was.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty horrible. But I mean, the way he speaks about, they stole these weapons, and
Right.
he's gonna do what they did. I mean, what they're and of course you have Claw with that too, and he just guns down half a dozen people. But at the same time, while these are bad things that he's doing, it's not much worse. It's a couple degrees worse, but it's not too far from what we see some of our superheroes doing at times, and how some of their actions cause some people's deaths. But do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you.
But I mean, the way that the character is justifying what's happening, it's just really good. It really, up until the point where he grabbed the woman by the neck and said that you have to burn this all down. There will be no other Black Panthers in the future. Burn it all. And I'm kind of like, yeah, he's the bad guy. I don't agree with everything that he's doing, but I really get where he's coming from.
Right. Right.
It wasn't until that point, and it felt kind of like a cheap move.
Yeah.
And one where I would almost say that they did it intentionally. I would have to say that was probably a reshoot, where they've probably seen a cut of the movie, like, well, we got to do something about this because he actually kind of seems like a good guy.
Yeah. Well, makes me wonder too. To focus in on that 1 second. When he orders the burning of all the herbs that are, of course, have historically empowered the next king. Where do you think that stands for the future? If all those are gone, I mean, let's say that was it. I'm just assuming. So that was the last cache. That was the last repository. Now, by the end of the movie, T'Challa is it. I mean, does that really spell just the end for? I mean, I'm assuming the Black Panther line for Wakanda. I mean, do you think there's any kind of comeback from that? I mean, I'd imagine that's going to cripple him.
Well, so this is one of the few things when we talk about, and this isn't quite in the same line, but you talk about the technical or technological aspect of Wakanda. I mean, you have this plant, and it only grows there. And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. Is
Right.
it because of the vibranium that it grows?
Right. So
It is.
It is. It's the effect that the vibranium had on the vegetation. And
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be growing somewhere else. I don't know. They don't really explain that
Right.
too much.
Right.
It's all conveniently right there, I guess. So I would have to suspect that someone has it somewhere else. But even then, if they were to destroy all the plants, that doesn't mean that the lineage has to not continue. It just means that you have a Black Panther without superpowers.
Right.
So I think that's where that would go. And there's been different versions of Black Panther and where he gets his powers.
Right.
So that is the most accepted and the most widely known, is that through a plant and in a very similar fashion. Some different versions. I think the Ultimate Universe was just something that was passed down through lineage. There's been a couple different ways, but so I think that's what would happen. Although I will say this was very cool to see two Black Panthers fighting.
Oh, heck yeah.
That was pretty cool. Although as far as your typical superhero fest of using powers and stuff, it felt a little light on that. But it didn't need to be more than what it was.
No, it didn't. Black Panther himself is he's like a ballad of destruction. I mean, he's just kind of like a whirlwind when he gets going. So I think just having someone on a similar martial level with similar powers and like a suit, that's all you need, man. I don't think you need a whole lot of extra lasers and zip on top of that. If anything, I think that showed the the strength of how the other conflicts play out, how those are able to help, carry the action scenes as well as, the dramatic scenes here. Especially, I mean, near the film's end when you're having the climactic battle of trying to prevent the weapons from leaving Wakanda's, border. You've got the general and her closest, troops, against Killmonger's faithful, and you've got 3 or 4 separate scenarios here, including Killmonger versus T'Challa himself. It's great. I mean, that it flows well. It's a good set of action scenes, and can't ask for more.
Continuing on the aspect of the technology of Wakanda, though, I can definitely appreciate how this technology is as advanced as it is completely different from the other examples, such advanced technology, which is Tony Stark,
right,
and the Iron Man suits. I do like the fact that obviously this technology was developed from completely different places, and because of that, it is different. And I guess it's more of a personal preference of which one you like more. That being said, I talked about this vaguely in non-spoilers. Vibranium is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
they make it out to be, it can do all this. Like, it has magical healing powers. I mean, I am not a scientist. I'm not a biologist or anything like that. In fact, I didn't pay attention to a lot of that in school.
Right.
But I don't know of anything that metals particularly do that can heal a bullet wound to the spine in a day. Now, obviously, this is vibranium and it's not real, but I don't know of any kind of healing properties that metal typically brings to the table.
No, and even more, I guess, amazing that it doesn't really have any, at least what I can see, sort of like a radioactive property behind it. Vibranium ends up feeling like something much more earthbound and much more magical than what it actually is. It is an alien metal, ultimately, that was, introduced to the planet. This did not naturally occur in the Earth, so...
I guess, and for me, I'm a little surprised that even though the technology is very different, considering the main MCU, the U.S., Captain America's shield's vibranium, they've had that since the 40s, or at least since the 40s. They had it for who knows how long before that. Maybe that was in Agent Carter or something. I missed that in the 2 seasons that was around. But you would think that they would have said something else about its healing properties or something. I thought that was a little weird. I think that that, and in a couple cases, while it does play its role in the story, I really didn't like the fact that the suit is like nanotech and comes out of his necklace. You don't see, and you don't really see much, excuse me, you don't really see much of anything that establishes that this technology can do those kind of things either. It's just like, your whole bulletproof, indestructible, kinetic absorbing suit of armor comes out of a thin necklace.
Right.
I did not like that at all.
Right. Yeah, it's the directions, I guess, for vibranium are sort of everywhere here. What it ultimately does, we have a couple of suit designs. We have, the initial one was already, I thought, was amazing when Black Panther's introduced in Civil War. I mean, it's already powerful enough. The way he just tanks through, semi-automatic rounds and everything else is wild. And then you see these, and it amazed me not only having something that portable, but that ridiculously powerful with that kind of return. I mean, just with the kinetic return ability, I'm like, that's gross. I mean, you sit there and the more you eat, the more you can dish back. It's just, golly.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing, and they've been going this route a couple times with. In fact, I think the last time we've really seen. Besides Spider-Man, where we had a couple scenes with Iron Man, in Civil War, especially the part where he puts his finger on the button in the helicopter and he gets a whole Iron Man suit. Like, all right, you're getting kind of ridiculous on where these suits are coming from now. Now, I mean, in Iron Man 2, when he had the one in the suitcase, that was pretty cool, and it was a much lighter and you could tell a weaker version of his suit. and that was like, okay, all right. But I mean, yeah, this whole thing is like, yeah, that is not a thick necklace. Okay, that is a very thin necklace with a couple designs on. It's like, but your whole suit, indestructible and kinetic absorbing suit, comes from something that looks like I could have got it from the dollar store.
I mean, maybe you should put on one of those dollar store next time you're out. You might get it free.
I will. Yeah, actually, I won't, because who knows how many other people wore that. I don't need to get sicky like you.
Yeah, you don't want any of this, man. It was no fun.
I was already sicky.
Yeah, man.
That sounded sicky right there. No, but I mean, yeah, that was a problem I had with this movie. It's like, don't get me wrong, because I loved most of the time, especially when they're in Korea and they put the thing on the car, and so then his sister has to get behind the wheel, and that was cool. And then we did it again with the plane. And by the way, the plane designs are all right. It's a little off. I have issues with the Quinjets practically, and these things. I feel like, all right, you're jumping the shark here a little bit. Now that being said, like I said, with the suit, there is a story element to that at the end of it. We're in spoilers. I don't have to dance around this shit.
Nope.
So yeah, I mean, they're in an area where that particular area, the vibrations weaken vibranium.
Right.
And so their suits start dissipating. You guys all know, you've watched it, or I guess you know now if you haven't watched it yet and you decide to listen to spoilers. So I give that a little bit of a pass, but overall I just don't like what some of the things I've seen as far as technology and where it's going in the MCU. They've done this a little bit with Iron Man now, and now they're doing it with our other suited superhero.
Right.
Especially for indestructible suits.
Right. Right.
I'm getting a little tired of seeing it.
And
besides that, all the other tech was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. I think just the application, the way they played out. You were talking about the tech for the pilot programs behind for the cars and everything like that, and how they could just sort of snap that on whatever they were using. It was pretty sick. It could be used anywhere from control, or if they wanted to just use like an EMP. Whatever level of stealth or whatever they need to infiltrate, they could do, which was pretty awesome. Also,
or put a metal suit of armor on a rhino,
or that too. That's a thing. That is a thing in this movie. Awesome. Vibranium can do that too.
That was pretty terrifying.
Can you imagine?
No, I would run. And if I couldn't run it, I'd just lay down. Like, just step on me. I'm not fighting you. You're rhinoceros in a impervious suit of armor. I'm pretty sure if I had a Magnum, I would have unloaded half a dozen shots in you. That probably still wouldn't have taken you down without the armor. I'm just do it.
Yeah, you're done. You're absolutely done.
Do it,
man. But no, I can't help but just love, I think, all of this stuff for the most part. I mean, with the tech and all of that. And I am kind of surprised that with all of that tech, that so much of this seems trusted, I guess, to Shuri. She does most of the outfitting, the modding, the new developments, and all of that. I guess her whole labscape and the implementation of all that. That's something I kept thinking I was going to see like a full team around or developing, but then I say that and that's not too much of a stretch. And look what Tony Stark's done.
Right. Well, I think we saw one, maybe two other assistants at some point,
right?
Briefly,
right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much except for the fact that you probably caught it where they get back and Black Panther, he says he designed that first suit.
Right.
It's his design.
Right.
So he's got some stuff going too. He's got some brains going too.
Plus, I don't know if you caught this. Did you catch the Back to the Future reference?
No, what?
You're gonna I thought you'd love this one. Do you remember? This was earlier on in the film too. And they were talking about the various suits, and I think just after this part that you were just mentioning, Shuri was showing T'Challa around her lab and just some of her new ideas, and she chastised him for the sandals he was wearing. Like of all things you can wear in here, why would you wear that? She's like, no, get out of those. Here, try these on. And she gives him those shoes, which were the sneakers, that were basically soundless, and you could walk on surfaces without being hurt, or you could stomp, etc. They completely cancel all noise.
Right, right.
That was a really, really clear throwback to on Back to the Future when Marty McFly was checking out his shoes.
Well, it wasn't too clear. I completely missed it. There
Really?
it is. Yeah.
Man.
Well, whatever.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Whatever. I'm an old man now. Leave me alone. Lucky I can read what's on my screen. But
yeah. Here, real quick. This part had to have caught you. Do you remember the other thing she said was that their father used to watch that 80s film or whatever it was?
Oh yeah, what was that?
That was it led into her talking about these shoes ultimately. I believe she was referring to Back to the Future.
Okay, all right. See that I was kind of lost in the whole reference.
Yeah. There you go.
There it is. All right.
Just fun stuff like that. But
I'm usually pretty on top of the '80s references too. But yeah, that one went by me.
No, man.
All right. So, Agent Ross.
Yeah.
You know, between you and I, am I the only one that thought that the whole time he felt like Agent Coulson light?
He did. He did.
He really did.
He did.
And you don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it was kind of his claw he had that arm, right. And in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson has had his hand cut off, a little bit of his lower arm as well. So it's kind of cool seeing more tech in this world because he's had it replaced. He's got, a robotic hand that looks just like a normal hand. It does all kinds of neat things too. It doesn't have a pulsing laser, but maybe he can take his arm now. Yeah, no one's using that shit. It doesn't match your other hand. Who cares?
That's all right.
Gun in it.
Worry about it.
Actually, Coulson's got a badass shield that comes out of it. So, that was kind of cool to see. I don't think that was a reference or even an Easter egg, but for someone who watches too much MCU stuff like myself, it's like, all right, well, that's cool. Someone else with that. Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, man, and I did like the fact that he was, I think, just really just focused on the most immediate objective, protecting the world, or ultimately protecting the U.S. too, naturally by extension. His whole purpose, in Wakanda, there was this worry about if we bring him here, all he's going to do is, exploit what we have. You don't need to show an outsider. And there's this whole struggle. I think he's very representative of this. You've got, including General Okoye saying, look, we're not here to help outsiders. The only way we've gotten by all these years is by not doing that. Don't go do that now. And then on the other side, it's like, well, wait, there's advantages to that. We've got a lot of resources. There's good we can do. Why aren't we doing more good? So
yeah.
I feel
I thought overall the movie did a really good job of arguing the theme of, is it better to protect yourself and protect the ones you love and ignore the world, or is it better to help out the world if you can? I thought I thought the movie portrayed this argument, this debate in a very good way.
I did too, and I couldn't help but smile, wondering if this was going to be a too little, too late. I think Infinity War is going to be really fascinating, telling us how much the world has learned as we, go into this conflict with Thanos. Would sharing this tech earlier on have better prepared us for what's about to come, or would it not have mattered at all?
Well, I think what they did more than anything is they're kind of establishing it. Because, watching the two small trailers that we've had for Infinity War, it's kind of, you're kind of like, because you know enough about Wakanda, especially if you're fans of the comic or fans of Marvel in general, you know enough to know they hide this world. Why am I seeing War Machine and Captain America and Hulk and all these other people running around in Wakanda with an army from Wakanda? Well, it makes a little bit more sense. And it's no real surprise. In fact, that's one of the things, if you've seen the trailers, in fact, they show the trailer for Infinity War, it's like, oh, hey, look, there's Black Panther. He's still the king. So, you're watching the movie, then it's like, well, okay, you know who's going to win this.
Right.
Not that it was much of a surprise anyways, but if you hadn't seen that. But Yeah, I think they're establishing that. So, I mean, that kind of goes into what I want to talk about next, which were the after credit scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
one of the things that I said that we were going to see in this movie was that we're going to see Winter Soldier get a new arm, which, by the way, didn't dawn on me that it's probably going to be a vibranium arm. But we didn't see that.
and this is such a lead off because I couldn't help but look at the end of Civil War, where we were and where we sat with that, just saying, all right, they are literally saving this for another post credit scene where we're going to be, like you just said, we're going to be reintroduced to this, and now we're going to actually get to see what's going to be the new augmentation he gets through the upgrades. But no, I think it's important to frame the first one we get with T'Challa appearing at the UN, basically just making the new stance, stating that we've been a seclusive nation, but that's going to change. And naturally everyone doubting what could you possibly offer. You're just a third world, poor nation, and we start to see the seeds of the initiatives that T'Challa wants to start putting in place to actually get active in the world, to actually change things and actually help where they can.
All right, so it's kind of funny because we do get an after credit scene. We get that one, which again is talking about how they're going to. It was kind of funny. How he's saying, "Hey, we're gonna, like you said, we're gonna do what we can for the world," and then one guy's like, "What can Wakanda do for us?"
Yeah,
And he just like, "Yeah, you're a dumbass."
yeah, you're dumb.
But the other after credit scene does show the Winter Soldier, does show Bucky.
Right.
I thought it was really weird. I'm actually not checking this until now because they referred to him as White Wolf, which I thought was kind of weird. And so I was looking this up right now. White Wolf is a character from the comics, which I was not aware of, and he's from Wakanda, but it's not Bucky. So I've got a feeling where they're putting that persona on him. Now I don't really know much about it, but I mean the fact that they were specifically calling him White Wolf, I thought was kind of weird.
Right.
So it looks like he's going to be taking on that persona. Now we do see, I think we've seen a couple small clips of Winter Soldier in the Infinity War clips, and he didn't look any different. White Wolf, from the picture I'm looking at here on the Marvel Wiki, looks like an alteration of a Black Panther suit, except for it's white. So, they're doing something more here. I remember them saying that I can't remember the actor's name. What's the name of the actor who plays Bucky?
Hold on, I'd have
Sebastian
to get that for you.
Stan. Sebastian Stan.
Thanks.
Yeah, it just took me a second. He signed a huge movie deal. I think something like 9 movies.
Wow.
So I maybe they're setting him up for something else here. I mean, Captain America's done, and a lot of people thought, well, they're going to make Bucky Captain America. Maybe not. Maybe it's going to be the Falcon. And Bucky was Captain America.
Right.
I think at 2 points in the comics. So Falcon has been the latest one. Steve Rogers just recently took it back after he was done being a Hydra agent. We're not going to get into all
That's
that.
a trip. Wow.
Yeah, we're not going to get into all that. That's I'm being a little dickish when I say that, but so maybe that's the direction they're going with them. Is that they're going to, maybe we're going to continue seeing Sebastian Stan in the Black Panther movies. Yeah, and maybe not as Captain America. Maybe they're going to pass it on to Falcon.
If so, this is a character I hope can win me over. Now, I'll be straight up about this, and I don't think I told you about this. My take on Civil War. Bucky got on my nerve, and that's not because I hate him as a character so much. What got me, I felt there was so much put on the line for this guy in Civil War. The limb Captain America went out on. The lengths Tony Stark went to kill this guy in the end. And I look at the net result of where we ended up and what we have. And I keep trying to piece together in my mind, what was it worth it? What was it worth what we got, and what is going to be his purpose ultimately? So he's still got some room to win me over. I'll allow that, and frankly, I'm interested to see how and if and when he does develop. But I'm still salty from Civil War because
really?
I don't think
it wasn't just for him.
It wasn't. But I look at where Cap's at, and I look at what he walked out of all that with, and I just don't see how that was worth it. I don't. and it really annoys me in a good way. In a good way, because that's going to leave so much more room for the overall story of MCU to develop and everything else. That's cool, but it annoyed the heck out of me.
I think maybe you need to go back, which we're doing, but
Right.
I think you need to go back and watch Captain America and Winter Soldier again.
Fair enough.
Because the relationship between Captain America and Bucky it's not a main plot, but I mean, when you get into Civil War, it definitely gets pushed up.
Right.
And it does feel a little out of place, but it is there.
Yeah.
It is there. I always thought it was really funny in Civil War where Bucky and Black Panther are taking out each other, and and Bucky says, "I didn't kill your father," and Black Panther's like, "Well, then why did you run?" And every time I hear that, because I watch that airplane scene, it's one of the best action scenes ever, I think, why? Because there's a bulletproof Black Panther after him with vibranium claws. If I was innocent, I would still run. I just think it's ridiculous. Like, all right, that's not the best interaction in that movie.
Oh,
Even if I had a metal arm,
you're like,
I would still run.
I got a metal arm and I'm looking at a black whirlwind of death.
Right.
No thanks.
even if I'm a super soldier. Did you just scratch Captain America's shield? All right, I'm gonna go over here.
Nope.
You stay over there. You do you. I'm gonna go do me over here. That's all right. Because I have a metal arm, but you can just cut right through that. So.
We're not even going to go there.
Right.
Love it.
No, so I think that's, looking at this now, I think that's where we're heading here. But yeah, I thought we'd see a little bit more. I thought we were going to see the Soul Gem. I thought we were going to see a Bucky with a new vibranium arm.
Right.
I thought we'd see him with a new arm, and then through the movie, I'm like, oh, he's going to get a vibranium arm.
Right.
Which he didn't. He was still covered nub.
Right.
At the end of the movie, it's like that's kind of shitty. It's like, hey, you got all this technology. Can a motherfucker get an arm?
No.
Yeah, it's not. He gets one, clearly.
Right.
You've seen it in the trailer for Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's vibranium, though. That would almost be funny. It's like, nah, you're an outsider, so
Nah.
we're not going to make you a vibranium arm.
I'll give you the knockoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only got 4 fingers. Or maybe he's White Wolf and he gets a vibranium arm and a whole new suit to go with it, because he's going to be White Wolf, whoever this White Wolf is. So, and that's again, I'm not reading this too much, but I mean, it's coming from the Earth 616 continuity, so it's coming off the main continuity, which is where they tend to pull most of their stuff from.
Right.
Not all of it, but most of it. So, okay. But yeah, I thought the after credit scenes overall were a little disappointing. They weren't bad. They definitely were playing to what they should have. One based on the future of Black Panther, the one based on the greater MCU.
Right.
But I thought they were a little disappointing.
Yeah. Not as much, and these are normally scenes that are known for either huge reveals on the eve of either the next film or some other plot point that we didn't have explored before, or just a tidbit to give us a look forward to. Here's the thing, in retrospect, I don't think it was too late to still give us a few moments like that. Yeah, we're right at the doorstep of Infinity War, but hey, any morsel you can toss us is going to drive us nuts at this point, so why not?
Right.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, if Inhumans came out now and they promised us one little nugget going into Infinity War, I would even stomach watching that.
Even the issue with the Soul Gem, I'm convinced that.
So where is the Soul Gem?
I'm wondering where it's embedded, or if it's, is it somewhere deep in the land? Is it actually embedded in the giant statue, the Black Panther itself? Something obvious like that. I don't know. My thing is, I so think that it plays into that role of that the communing with souls, communing with spirits, the transcendence. It's got to be. It's got.
Maybe it was still in that meteor somewhere, and so it's still in Wakanda somewhere, but they don't even know it's there, and that's why they've been able to commune with the dead and stuff.
Yeah,
they're eating soul gem tree plants and wearing soul gem vibranium armor.
I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was indeed embedded deep, deep, deep in that rock somewhere. Because notice the tradition they've and the reverence they've built around that process is sort of sacred. That doesn't really seem like something that's like technologically amplified, or that's just you have some scientists tweaking with. It's this very sacred rite. There's a lot of sacred rituals tied to it, and that tells me they have something that's been untouched by.
Do you think they eat vibranium?
Yeah.
You think they eat it?
Well, ultimately, if you look at how
they eat the plants.
If you look at how the herbs were affected, a form of it at least. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's why I could heal a broken or a shot in spine.
There you go.
Soul food.
Soul food.
I don't know. By the way, one final thing. Again, this is nitpicking, but for vibranium, which is the rarest metal and in a protected secret in the world, to the point where they're hunting down a man for decades for stealing just a little bit. Vibranium gets all over the damn place in this movie. I mean, it's all over in the streets of Korea. It's everywhere. Like, you got cars falling apart. Little pieces got lost.
Oh, they did. They had to.
I mean, that's part of what I was thinking when I'm watching that chase outside. The fact that was awesome was like, you are getting vibranium everywhere.
Well, I guess you'll have to hunt them down.
No. Did you notice that too? Or did that not cross your mind?
No, you're right. No, you're very right. It did. I think what sort of set it in mind for me was when Claw started going nuts with his that arm cannon. And then you had, of course, T'Challa, using his suit and everything like that. But then you had the car being controlled and stuff like that. So it was sort of just like counting. It's like, all right, there's a vibranium piece put in that car to control that. All right, now there's probably a fragment that was embedded somewhere because that exploded. It has to, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm going to reach a little far here, but not too far. It's kind of like in The Matrix, where in the second and third movie, they completely give away, like, the whole war in The Matrix is hidden. It's secret. It's like, motherfuckers are going down the highway at 70, 80 miles an hour. Cars are crashing everywhere. Agents are stealing people's bodies. People are doing kung fu moves on top of semis with samurai swords. It's like, people are going to know something's up, right? Just with this, I can give the whole half the world's Agent Smith at the end, because that's the end of it, and he's destroyed the world at that point. But I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for a hidden secret war in this digital world, it's all over the damn place.
Yeah.
That's always bugged me about that.
Yeah.
And it felt the same thing. You're just like, man, you're getting that all over. Car fell apart. Which was kind of cool at the same time to see that Claw's gun could just... Because I don't think he destroyed it as much as he just made it fall apart. It was some kind of pulsing thing. His gun was some kind of pulsing ray.
It
was
just
not
pretty
your
much
typical laser.
Like disassembled stuff it hit.
Yeah.
Just pretty cool. But
yeah, I'm kind of sad we're not going to see him again.
Yeah. Like you're saying, dude, just a quick murder. Not the way I expected him to get off, but
they've been doing a good job of that as of late. They did that with him, with Claw, and they did that with Vulture, a character that I always thought was going to be a hard sell as a villain, just because, I mean, if you see him in the comics, like, oh, I don't want to see you anywhere else. In fact, I don't want to see you in this comic right now. You're kind of horrible. If you look at his old costumes and everything, it's like, that is an outdated concept, just like Claw.
Yeah.
But, so I'm looking forward to see what they bring back next.
Same. What will they think of next?
Yeah. All right, I think that'll do it.
I think so. We've rounded the block, and another freaking awesome Marvel film in the block.
So, yeah, guys, let us know what you thought of Black Panther, all the spoilery stuff. Have your spoilery discussion down there in the comments, and please subscribe. And what's next for comics? What's next for comics? Is it Civil War? Is that the next one? I'm just talking about MCUs. Let me get the schedule here real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually pulling that up myself. As far
I
as
think for comics, well, this isn't comics, but geez, we got a lot of crossover here. Tomb Raider,
yeah,
Ready Player One. That's definitely some crossovers from genres. Rampage.
right.
No, that's yeah, Avengers. Avengers is next, and then we have Deadpool right after.
Woo!
Oh,
All right, man.
that's May's gonna be a good month.
Yeah. And then Solo to wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I didn't say that, and then because I can't say that and then say May's gonna be a good month. That may not be good. Jury is very much out on Solo. So, but yeah, the next comic book movie is Avengers: Infinity War, and then Deadpool.
All right.
Okay, guys. So thanks for listening. Let us know what you think.
Yep. Tune back in, and thank you. We'll catch you soon. Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, there anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but it'd be great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.